Let's bring you this discussion now. A 30% duty on South African goods by the United States is set to take effect on the 7th of August, which is one of the highest rates in sub-Saharan Africa. Key sectors like the automotive and agriculture are bracing for severe disruptions after years of benefiting from duty-free access under AGOA. Let's speak now to Western Cape Premier Ellen Windy, who joins us to discuss the implications of this. Premier, good evening to you. Thank you for your time. We already know your feelings around this as contained in the Sunday papers today. You're a very angry man. Tell us how this is going to impact on some of the key sectors of your economy in the Western Cape.
Yeah, I really am not happy at all. I mean, I think South Africa has dropped the ball really badly here. And the implications are for thousands of jobs in this province that I'm responsible for. I raised this with the president 3 months ago in the PCC. This is the coordinating forum. When I raised it, I know that the Eastern Cape Premier also had some things to say. I said the provinces need to also be involved because we are the regions that have the job implications if we don't get this right. As South Africa, we've missed 2 deadlines. It's unacceptable. We don't have an ambassador in place. We don't have a trade desk in the US. It's almost as if we don't treat them as a serious market. And that really does make me angry. We should not be dropping the ball like this. And for us here in the Western Cape, it has major consequences and implications. And so, as you said in the intro, the 30% have now kicked in. Our neighboring countries have all got 15%. We've got 30%. But the most important thing is that our products, and from this province, it's wine, it's citrus, it's agricultural products. From our neighboring province in the Eastern Cape, which is also going to have huge implications for that province, it's automotive. And, when the tariff goes in at 30%, I mean, at the end of the day, Americans are just going to be paying a lot more for our products. Yeah. But what the implication is that other competitive nations who we have managed to compete with up until now are going to just be that much easier to do business with. They will be able to get better pricing into that American market. And it's not easy. Everybody says we just got to diversify. We've been doing this already for the last 3 months. But it takes a while. It takes a while to establish markets. And I say a while, it takes years to build a market. It takes years to service that market and build the trust in that market. And then to have it, this negative of a tariff, it really reverses all of that work for years. And the job implications are what really make me angry. So we have thousands of people who work in the wine industry. We have thousands who work in the citrus industry, and those 2 in this province are going to see the major impact. In the automotive, it's going to be in Gauteng and the Eastern Cape. But of course, the Eastern Cape, they're our neighbors. And when jobs get lost in the Eastern Cape, it puts more pressure on the Western Cape, on our education, on our health systems. And, this really upsets me when we could have probably fixed this. And, so I really want to see a lot more action from Minister Parks-Tau. I think we really have dropped the ball here.
Yeah. I'm keen to know what the president's reaction was. You say we missed 2 deadlines. On top of that, we don't have an ambassador in the United States. That's the more political space that's very complicated right now. What was his response?
Well, he said, yes, that sounds good that the provinces are involved, because we explained that, this is where the job losses are going to take place. It happens in provinces, and the implications are for us as a province. And so he said, yes, of course, we must have this discussion. And the platform that we were talking about was actually international relations with our international relations minister. The trade and industry minister wasn't in there, but in that meeting specifically. But I said, we've got to use this opportunity to talk about this, and we want to be more involved. And it's almost as if we get stonewalled all the time. Don't worry, we're sorting it out. In our province, we've called 3 meetings now thus far. And I must say that we did have a person from Parks-Tau's department. But of course, they told us about, what they'd asked for another extension, and they'd put something else on the table. I don't think there's the urgency in the system. And that's what makes me cross. We must not allow this to happen. We've already got such a high unemployment rate in South Africa. How can we, be so lax about putting a deal together? Every other country in the world seems to have put their deal together except South Africa. And we've got some trump cards. We export rare earth materials. We're a big buyer of, not within the trade space, but we're a big buyer of software. If you look at what we spend compared to as a percentage of Africa when we're buying software, and of course they don't put that in, I don't know why, but they don't put that into the trade mix. I know just our health department spends over 1.5 billion rand every single year just with Microsoft. So we spend a lot of money in dollars, and quite frankly, we should have been way ahead of the curve. And it's not even this current ambassador, even the previous ambassador was not really on her game. And, the country's got to be much more awake to trade if we are to really get our economy going.
Premier, here is something of a reality check, and that is that this is a global trade disruption as a direct result of President Trump and his unorthodox way of doing things, to put a phrase to it. And President Trump, it would seem, no matter what South Africa could have done, there's just something in him that wants to punish South Africa. And here's the point I want to come to, Premier, and it's contained in the article, and that is that you say if there are laws that are standing in the way of us reaching some kind of deal with America, then we've got to change it, because it's not assisting in the jobs space and it's also not assisting in terms of economic growth. Are you advocating for the Trump administration to poke its nose in South African legislation and dictate to us what can and the government cannot do?
So I was actually talking about policies, and obviously those policies end up in laws. So, the Trump administration is raising a few issues. So we need to look at ourselves and say, okay, well, one thing is America, South Africa, but 30 years of certain policies in our country. Let's talk about BEE, which is something that Trump, the administration is raising. But let's not worry about that. Let's actually have a discussion here in South Africa around our policies, and are they working? Has BEE in our country created broad-based empowerment? No, it has absolutely failed. What it has done is created some really mega rich individuals, so it doesn't work. So let's review it. So, of course, at the same time, we should be reviewing our policy. One policy, another issue that is being raised by Trump is one of the crime rate. And I've been advocating now for a long time that we need to change our policing system and our criminal justice system. It is not working. Crime just gets worse and worse and worse. And quite frankly, we need to change the system. We can't keep with the same policies if they're not moving the dial, if they're not making it better. So we are saying, have a look at world best practice, have a look at where things do work. Let's change policies. Let's get devolution of policing. Let's get inspections happening in a different way. We've got pilot projects that we run alongside the city of Cape Town in targeting murder rates, etc. And we've shown technology, innovation, and deployment of police does make a difference. So let's actually really have an honest conversation. At the same time, we'll be fixing problems here back home, and it will be able to answer some of these issues that are being raised. Obviously, you can't have international governments dictating to us, but when they raise these questions, surely we should be asking ourselves at the same time, is they raising it? Let's raise it ourselves. Is it making a difference? Are we actually building it a safer community? Has BEE worked? Are we actually bringing down our unemployment rate? No. So at the same time, whatever those negotiations are going to bring, we've got to protect the jobs that we've got, diversify and look for new markets. And that's what makes me angry. We almost kind of just say, oh, well, let's just let this go by. We'll find something else. But what's going to happen? The unemployment rate's going to go up again. And really, it goes up in areas where we can least afford it.
Final question, Premier, and you allow me to digress a little bit because I think the question of crime was raised very sharply at that meeting in the White House. And some people holding the view that we perhaps almost upsold it in a way to a point where it could affect the country, particularly the visitors here. So there is an upcoming commission of inquiry into the entire South African criminal justice system, but the police are at the center of it. Is this something that you would want to go and raise at that judicial inquiry, in the Madlanga inquiry, to say, we've been arguing for police devolution and therefore we think we could manage things better here? Is that something that you are thinking about?
So I am really looking forward to meeting the new minister or new acting minister, because we've signed a memorandum of understanding at the beginning of this administration, the 7th administration. And that signing, I was really hopeful. It was a signing alongside the new minister because all of our we've tried for years now, and the previous minister, Becky clearly said definitely no ways. He didn't want to entertain it. The new minister, Chunu, who's now suspended, said yes, let's put it into the MOU. So we've looked at regulation. The president came down. We signed the MOU. There are a whole range of issues that we were agreeing to look at, and regulation, legislation, which a component could be devolution or parts thereof, was part of that MOU. Well, it hasn't really gone anywhere. So absolutely, if this investigation is going to create a platform where we can actually put some concrete suggestions on the table, I will absolutely be for it. We have to try something new. It's not the first time. I mean, we've had a judicial inquiry in the Western Cape, the Khayelitsha Commission, the Reagan Commission, which really raised a whole lot of issues coming out of Khayelitsha, people saying that we are not getting proper policing, crime is too high. And I mean, it's been nearly probably 20 years since that has taken place, 15 years, I think, since that commission. And go and have a look at all of the areas that the police have had to change their ways, and it hasn't really worked. So, I mean, we mustn't hold our breath when it comes to another commission in South Africa, the Zondo Commission, and so we go on. But obviously, I will use every single angle that we can to get our voice in there, to bring in other voices, to try to get some kind of change in policing. And obviously, the most important thing, if there's corruption in the system, you're never going to get anything right. We need proper professional police officers on the ground, police management in the system. We need a proper criminal justice system that does not delay justice, that makes sure it happens, that there are consequences when there are crimes that happen, that we find arrests, there's investigations. So absolutely, I'll put whatever I can on the platform in this investigation, if possible, and I will continue to push for a change, because we have to make our communities safer. Safety and the economy are so interlinked. If you're not safe, how do you actually get the economy going? How do you attract investment? How do you bring tourists? But how do you just get to work?
Yeah.
How do you live with your family when your family's children or your children are being threatened by gunfire every single night? We have to change.
Premier, you've made that link beautifully between the safety situation in the country and indeed the economy. I can't not ask you this briefly, please. What conversation have you had with your Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen? He also happens to be your party leader, particularly as it regards these tariffs. The Western Cape is going to be, as you say, worst affected. Citrus comes from your province. Do you believe that he's done a good job? You really sounding negative on Parkstyle and him missing deadlines, but how efficient has John Steenhuisen been?
So in actual fact, the discussions over the last few days of what else are we going to be able to do now in this environment. And so the Minister, Steenhuisen, is busy looking at what other opportunities are there. And I'm going to be saying that as a province, we are also going to be having a look at what can provinces do. Obviously, trade relations are nation to nation, but we will certainly be looking alongside what Minister Steenhuisen is busy doing, what John's doing in alternate markets, and even currently in the USA, between the USA and South Africa. And as provinces, I'm going to be doing exactly the same thing.
Ellen Winde, thank you very much for your time, the Premier of the Western Cape.